Okay, cool. So I'm sure we're going to have some more people coming in here, but I want to be respectful of everybody's time. Oh, man, we got Nick from Cornwall in the UK. I love Cornwall. Well, special welcome to you, Nick. Somebody from Spain, somebody from Germany. All right, we're covering the globe here. This is one of the things that's always just flat out amazing to me. I've been doing this for decades now, but it still amazes me that I can sit in a little office in Carborough, North Carolina, and we're gathered as a community of people from Idaho and Spain and Germany and Cornwall in the United Kingdom. So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, great. So we are here today. This is a second webinar that Robert and I are doing together. Some of you may have been here for the first one. We do have a partnership between Learning Revolution, my site, and CourseCREEK, Robert's company, and we're going to talk about that some during this webinar. I do like to always be clear up front. Sometimes when I'm doing a webinar, I'm just purely putting stuff out there for you. No kind of sales of anything going on. In this case, we are going to be talking about our relationship, which is a business relationship. CourseCREEK does provide course creation and marketing type services. And we'll be talking about that. And, we have a deal related to that for you if you're interested. But Robert also has this concept of platform funneling that we're kind of centering all of this around, that regardless of whether you're looking for any services or not, it's just a powerful concept. And I think, anybody who's now planning for 2021 should be thinking about it as a potential strategy. And then, for that matter, we'll be talking about that concept. But as Robert has just put into the chat, feel free to ask questions. Those questions can be about anything. We've been in the course business for a long time, the education business for a long time. So whatever questions you have, chances are, we can at least attempt an answer just about anything, and probably do have answers to a lot of things. So anything is fair game. We'll talk about platform funneling. We'll talk about CourseCREEK and Learning Revolution here, but this is really also kind of an ask us anything type session. So feel free to do that. And I'm going to turn most of this over to Robert, because he's really going to be talking about, what he does at CourseCREEK and this whole platform funneling concept. But I thought I'd tee things up by just talking a little bit about, how we got together in the first place, which I love because, I've been doing Learning Revolution for several years now. It came out of the book that I published back in like 2014 or something like that. But, Robert, it took me a while to really tune into making the website into something and that people were really using it as a resource. And so as I started building that up, Robert was actually one of the earlier people to subscribe. I went back and checked, Robert, it was May of 2017 that I have you down as subscribing. And so like many of the people who end up subscribing to Learning Revolution, I end up having a lot of email back and forth exchange with them. I ended up having more with Robert than most people. We were really going back and forth because he was really trying to transform his singing business and his course business online with that. He was already doing a lot of things and was really pushing the envelope to find the best solutions for how he was going to offer his online courses. And, and I watched as he kind of went through and tried a number of different things. He'll probably talk about some of them. Yeah. Some were successful, some not as successful. I'm sure you can see that was the case, Robert. But I guess it's about a year or so that you came to me and said, I really love doing this. I'm going to start helping other people do it. Yeah. And started CourseCREEK to really help other course creators do what you've done, because you've been very successful at this. I think at this point, you have something like, what I'm looking at my numbers here, so I know for sort of like 14 courses, over 100,000 students in 192 countries. So yeah. Even more countries than we have on the webinar. Rob has been teaching globally. So I've been in the online course business and just the education business forever. I do consulting with large organizations, but I didn't feel like getting into helping with course development, helping with course strategy. For entrepreneurs was something that I was going to get into. So it just made a huge amount of sense to partner with CourseCREEK around doing that. And then, of course, Rob and I are always in conversation now about what's cool, what's working. And he brought up this platform funneling concept. And I'm like, we got to tell people about that. So, Rob, I'm gonna bounce the ball to you at this point, and we'll do a lot of bouncing back and forth during this. But tell folks about CourseCREEK, and then let's get into this platform funneling concept.
Sure. Yeah, thank you for the lovely introduction, and it's an honor to be here again with you and your tribe, sharing the ideas that we talk about every day. My name is Robert Lunte, and I'm the founder of the Vocalist Studio and CourseCREEK Consulting, which is the course development and creation company that I'm sort of representing today. But I'll tell you just a little bit about how I got here, how we got here today. And so I'm going to just share my screen with you guys. And again, if you have any questions, please just jump on in and we'll answer. I'm going to just take you on a little journey here. Jeff, I'm going to share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Got it. Okay,
great. All right. In another life that still exists to some extent, I'm a voice coach. All right. I wrote a best-selling book and have produced online courses over the last 20 years that helps singers and voice coaches learn how to train to become stronger, more coordinated, to build their motor skills for singing better, healthier, and more artistically. And it was quite a long ride. Inside that career path, as Jeff was pointing out, I made online courses. Started with one, made improvements, learned along the way, and to make a long story short, at the end of about 15 to 20 years, as of today, we now have about 14 courses. They're not all singing courses anymore, but needless to say, I've done a lot of production. This website you're looking at is, in fact, the singing business. It sits on a Kajabi platform, and my own implementation team at CourseCREEK is actually built this for me. This is our showcase, one of our showcase websites. And so in regards to learning management systems, our implementation team at CourseCREEK can build on any platform. So that's where I sort of cut my teeth and learn how to do this. And as Jeff was saying, fast forward, I decided to help others learn how to make courses. So that's what we're doing here with CourseCREEK. With CourseCREEK, if I look back at the experience on how, what is involved from just a twinkle in your eye to launch date and monetizing your IP and your ideas and creating all these benefits that we're concerned about and interested in regards to online courses, I see it happening in 3 phases. All right, this is what it really takes to get it done. And inside these 3 phases, we will focus on the platform funneling. So the first phase is phase 1. It's a consulting phase where we do one-on-one work with you to determine your desired outcome for you and your students, and to build a strategic project plan. In that strategic project plan, you're going to get a deliverable, and that's an executable marketing plan with a budget, and it shows you everything that's recommended through all 3 phases, which I'm going to continue to show you here. The purpose of phase 1 is so that as you move into this experience, the mystery and the questions about how to do an online course, how do I make my storyboard, what platform do I get into, what's it going to cost me, who's going to build it for me, all of those questions are answered. So at the end of phase 1, you, me, my team, all of us are on the same page with a plan ready to execute. Phase 2 is a coaching phase.
Robert, can I jump in there real quick? I mean, I love the way you put that, because I do find that people just don't give enough emphasis to strategy a lot of the time. A lot of times people know it's a good thing to do. They'll say they want a good strategy, but regardless of whether you're working with a consultant or not, you really got to have that strategy. And it's because, as you were implying, a strategy really drives your decisions. I mean, once you have that in place, you're able to make those decisions. Because of what I do, I have so many people come to me and say, what's the perfect platform, for what I'm trying to do? And you can't pick a perfect platform if you don't have a strategy in place to really drive what you're trying to do as a business and what you're trying to do from a learning standpoint. So that strategic part just really is so fundamental. So it's not a surprise that ends up being your first, focus phase. I mean, it's just so foundational to anybody who's going to be developing and successfully building a course business.
Yep. And I need, this plan is just much for me and my team as it is for the client. I need to go through this, massage through this exercise of filling in these blanks and filling this out with the client through interviews so that we can get that plan. I mean, just straight up, just on the platform you're going to use, is in large part chosen by the strategy that happens later on in the funnels and what you're selling and the whole thing. So yeah, thank you, no doubt. And so clients get a plan, and the thing is when people are confused and they don't understand, they can't move forward. They can't make proper decisions. So I want to make sure that we're clear on that.
Somebody did ask how long that strategy phase usually takes. So is it Madeline's asking, is that an intensive deep dive kind of process, or back and forth with homework for the client over a period of time? What does that usually look like?
As soon as you come on board, there's an onboarding process. In that onboarding process, I will ask you to fill out an intake form, which goes through a lot of the questions that are on that plan will be addressed in the intake form, or at least will help me and my team to fill out the plan. So the client gets homework. Client is involved in this. So there'll be a little intake form, and then there will be about, depending upon the project and the client, I'd say 3 or 4 Zoom calls where we work through the plan together, validate our assumptions, and come to agreements. And as we work through that plan, as Jeff was saying, the discussion about strategy on what you want to do, where you're going, what's your message, what's your cause, all of that starts to bubble up and come out as we build through that plan. The short answer would be about 3 to 4 Zoom calls and 5 to 10 days based on availability. After we have our lovely plan, we move to phase 2. Phase 2 is what I call the course creator transformation phase, and it literally is that. This is, in some sense, where sort of the coach from the past, leveraging these skills as a coach and a mentor, are pulled over here, and I begin to help my CourseCREEK clients learn how to write a storyboard, learn how to do instructional design, and we do on-camera coaching and videography consulting with this. So storyboard is the sequential lessons lined up in a logical sequence that you think your course should have. And I sit down and I work with you on that. Again, one-on-one Zoom calls to make sure that sequence of lessons has a success path, assessments, that it's set up properly for the funnels and the platform funneling that we're going to be talking about here very soon, that the actual storyboard is going to work with the strategy and the technology and things that are happening there. We also do on-camera coaching. I've logged thousands of hours in front of a camera, and that's a real fun, creative process where the client will learn a few on-camera formulas and strategies for speaking to the camera in an effective, entertaining, efficient way. And through a shared Google Drive folder and a Basecamp project management system that we share with our clients, you will upload videos of your takes, and we go back and forth on the on-camera coaching, which is a really fun transformation to see people go from being scared and not really knowing how to get on a camera to, wow, really getting it together and ready to produce their content. That takes about 2 weeks, maybe 5 meetings, 5 reviews, 2 weeks, basically. At the end of phase 2, you're dangerous. You have the ability to produce your own content. You understand the videography, you got a storyboard, you got a plan, you're good on camera. Now, after the content is produced and ready to go, we have our assets. We then need to implement the assets. And with CourseCREEK, we have a team that handles the implementation. It's not just me doing this by myself. It's all of these talented people that understand Kajabi, Learn Worlds, Uscreen, all the platforms, the middle of the funnel, pop-ups, sequences. It's all done with my team in a project management software called Basecamp that you are invited to. Phase 3 implementation. there's three kinds of implementation. There is phase 3A, which is implementing into a marketplace. Okay, so we have your assets, we have your videos, we implement into a marketplace. What's a marketplace? Udemy, Skillshare, lynda.com, LinkedIn Learning. It's a third-party website that has a whole bunch of different courses in it that you don't own the website. It's a marketplace, right? If you're not familiar with Udemy, check it out. udemy.com, Udemy. I'll show you what I do with it here soon. So on phase 3A, we do potentially an entry-level course at a marketplace. And this is part of the platform funneling strategy. This is where it starts. That entry-level course can be a couple different, it can have a few different strategies. It might be a mini course, which I consider to be about 10 to 20 videos would be a mini course. Or it could be a section from a bigger full course or other assets that you own, sort of cannibalized and put into the marketplace. One way or another, we work together to build an entry-level course here at the marketplace in phase 3A. It's a big part of a strategy that we'll be talking about today. And just to round this out, just so you know what I'm talking about, phase 3B is when you keep your static content. So you've got a beautiful Squarespace or Wix website, and you got beautiful static content, about page, bio, all of that stuff. And you want to keep that, but you want to add to your offering and your service online courses. So in phase 3B, my implementation team will help you to match your existing static website content to the new learning management system, the course platform that has that course user interface. In phase 3C is the static content migrates over to the learning management system, and you have an all-in-one solution where the static content and pages and the course interface and everything involved is in one platform. And that's what I do with my teaching business over here on Kajabi. So let's go back to phase 3A as we talk about platform funneling.
I was going to say before because we definitely want to get to the platform funneling part now. That's the core of this. But I did want to note that, what you've described there really is kind of the essential process for anybody who wants to successfully create a course business. So, lay out the strategy for what they're going to do, who they're going to reach, what they need to sell, really get that buttoned up so it's driving all their decisions, actually creating the course content effectively, coming up with that compelling learning experience and getting it out there. And then finally, putting it in the places on the web that people are going to be able to access it and market effectively. So, whether somebody's working with a consultant or not, you have to have thought through all of these to actually get to the point of really being successful as a course creator and seller. So it's a very, I think it was a very worthwhile process. It's your process. It's what you do at CourseCREEK, but it's also what everybody needs to be thinking of and taking themselves through, regardless of whether they're working with CourseCREEK.
Totally agree. It's sort of I'm proud of this flow. It's soup to nuts. This is what it really takes, folks. This is what it takes. A good plan with strategy, some coaching to learn how to do it, and speak to a camera and make a plan and build a course idea, and then building it. This is what it takes. So let's talk about platform funneling. I'm going to pivot here and go to a diagram. All right. And before we jump into this, are there any quick questions by chance?
Well, Madeline has asked one that I know you're gonna address in just a minute, so I'll put it out there so you have it in mind. But we will talk about this one, Madeline. She asked, "Is the marketplace mini course meant as a marketing tool for your bigger courses and or a practice or test run, or is it generating revenue?" And the answer can be yes to all of those, basically. And we'll talk about that, or you'll talk about that in a minute. And then Tamara has asked, "Isn't it best to start with a mini course as a beta test prior to investing in a full course to determine that there's an audience first?" That seems to be the method recommended within Kajabi platform. And I'll answer that from my perspective. Yes, it can be a great way to test your market. You want to do some market testing before you even get to a mini course, so you have an idea of what what that mini course should be. But then, yeah, before you go and start making, 50, 100 lesson courses or whatever, you definitely want to know that you've got something that's going to resonate. And that's a lot of what this strategy is about that Robert will talk about.
Yep. Yes to all of that, which is one of the reasons why the platform funneling strategy is super interesting, because it can achieve so much with one idea. And I'm just going to jump back here real quick on phase 2, back here on the coaching phase. We have, refine your idea for best chance of success. That's one Jeff was just hitting at that. So in those one-on-ones with me, I'm going to help you to refine your idea. And we have access to some tools that allow me, some algorithm tools allow me to drop an idea in, like financial planning or singing lessons or whatever the idea may be, drop it into the tool and run an algorithm and get a fair rough idea as to what the potential earnings are and the potential competition is for that idea in our most important marketplace platform, which would be Udemy. And that's one way that we refine those ideas. Let's take a look at this. So you're looking at a workflow here. It's basically a funnel of the platform funnel. Down here in this bottom square would be the marketplace offer. It would be phase 3A. So we've implemented a mini course, 10 to 20 lessons with a good idea, and we've dropped it into Udemy. And by the way, it's competitors, Skillshare, and there's a few other marketplaces that we can put this into. And we implement it here at the marketplace. At the marketplace, if you have a good idea, there's a couple things that can happen here. Before the traffic even starts to flow, before we move them through the funnel, this position alone can actually be surprisingly quite lucrative. This is what I do on my singing mini course in the marketplace. That's before they even get to my main website, right? Doing this. So, by the way, not only the funds, but look at the traffic. 58,000 new students, 58,000 new people around the world in 192 different countries know about my product, have seen me on camera, took my mini course, liked it, and then followed this path. And if they liked it, what they did is we through a particular strategy that we've developed, we funnel this traffic from the marketplace platform mini course entry-level offer to your main website. So for me, I take these folks here. This is my mini course. This is the student view of my mini course at Udemy. And I offer them an external training page, right here. This is the external training page. What's the external training page? External training page is a page that they go to access training materials and resources that they need for your mini course out at Udemy that Udemy cannot provide. Okay. So it might be a financial calculator. It might be something, in my case, in my singing course, well, I'll just show you. I'm going to click on the link. They land on the Robert's training page. Now here at the training page, they get access to all these video files and training files of me doing the workouts. So my students from Udemy, it's just solo piano workout files that singing students need to practice. So out at my external training page, right here, I'm offering singing students training files, all right? And you'll offer your students something that they need. And I will help you to figure out what that is, by the way. There's lots of cool, clever ideas that we can come up with. But back to the point here, we've siphoned this traffic over to the external training page. The students think it's an external training page, and it is. For us, it's a landing page, because out at the landing page here, they're going to get a lead magnet, right? Of course, they're going to get a lead magnet. A pop-up comes up, and we offer them more free value. In my singing course, we offer them an 8-email sequence on myth busting about singing, and it's valuable to them. And they get this additional cool free email mini course, and we begin to nurture that relationship in the internal Kajabi mail ecosystem. All right, so we've taken traffic from the marketplace, we've funneled it to a landing page, which is also an external training page for the students. We've captured them with a pop-up, and we begin to nurture a new relationship that we can then turn around and offer them additional value and more services. In my case, what I offer the Udemy singing student who's had that entry-level course is a portfolio of more courses with more value and a higher price tag.
This is a key step too, because I mean, Robert knows, and probably anybody who's been following me for a while knows that I've never been all that high on Udemy for course creators, because you do lose a certain amount of control there over your pricing, and you don't get access to the student data. So it's through this landing page concept that you get that data. You get the students who are really interested in you, and you can start to communicate with them directly. So it basically takes a weakness, and it takes the strength of Udemy and compensates for its weakness, and really turns it into that powerful funnel.
Yes. My conversion rate on the pop-up on this external training page that these students come to is, last time I looked, was about 6.6%. And on average, we're doing about 30,000 hits a month on this page. And by the way, I highly recommend, and my team can help you do it, install a chat system. That's great. It's another discussion, but makes things very efficient. Now,
and in case folks don't know much about conversion rates, I mean, you're usually likely to get 1 or 2% conversion on anything on the web. So the conversion rates you're getting are quite high.
Yeah. And by the way, these are little, CTAs, little banner ads. Back here, so we've landed here, they're training, they're having fun, okay? Another thing that they can do is, and everything that I'm showing you, my team has built before, and we can build this similar thing for you guys. So if we click on this banner ad here, the Vocalist Studio full course, achieve more results with the full TBS program. So create a little landing page that upsells the full course.
Hello, I'm Robert Lunte, and welcome to the full course offer page. If you're on this page, it's because you're already a training vocal athlete, and you have probably already greatly improved your motor skills and strength for your singing voice. That's fantastic. Congratulations, and it's great to have you as a student. But did you know that the light version of the course that is found on other websites is not the full version of the course?
No, I didn't know that. I want to learn more. So I'm going to scroll down here, and I'm going to read the benefits and the advantages and get some nice conversion copy. And here is the full course offer. So in a sense, platform funneling can do the following for you. The marketplace company is, in a sense, paying you to send you traffic to your funnel and your middle tier, your funnel elements at your website, to your website, where you can then cultivate the relationship and take it further. Additional benefits of the funneling. I just wrote them down here. There's like 6 of them, so I have to write them down. It's a great way to cut your teeth on online courses. If you've never made a course before, if the idea seems intimidating or daunting to you, maybe the best way to get started is to not bite off more than you can chew. Just do, a cute, effective mini course. Again, that'd be about 10 to 20 videos. So it's a good way to get started. And the fact that it is mini, it shouldn't be too intimidating. I've noticed that when I talk to clients, sometimes they're a little intimidated about the kind of work that's involved in producing a course. And that's fair. But as soon as you realize it doesn't have to be more than 10 or 12 videos, seems like the pressure kind of goes away and it becomes a fun experience and a fun idea again. If we look at this funnel, you'll notice that here at the top end of the customer journey, this is the higher value services. I've met a lot of clients in CourseCREEK that are solid here. They have a sophisticated program, a methodology, IP ideas, curriculum already developed that they've been taking into companies and as sort of corporate training and other bigger ticket items. That's great. But I've noticed a trend that a lot of folks like that seem to be sort of top heavy on their offer. A mini course and a platform funnel strategy can help you to fill out sort of the bottom end of your customer journey, which, as you have seen, if you got the right idea, can also be a nice source of revenue and traffic. It's a great way to get leads, right? Because we talked about the pop-up, build your list. And there's something about introducing what you do, your ideas, how you teach, to this bottom level, entry level course, which can be consumer oriented. A lot of the people in that initial mini course will refer you into their companies. It's a good way to introduce yourself to folks that can bring you into the higher value offer that you have. And those are the benefits right offhand, and it's fantastic. I don't see how you can lose, really. Even if the mini course idea is a lukewarm idea, you're still going to get the traffic. And if the amount of effort put into it is 10 to 15 videos, it's hard to argue not giving it a try.
So Robert, somebody's asked, and I was going to ask myself, but
Sure.
Someone beat me to it, is for the mini course videos, what's a good average length per video? So you're talking, 5-minute videos or hour-long videos when you're talking 10 to 15?
Yeah, sure. That's one of the most popular questions I get. How long should a video be? The answer for that is the video needs to be the length that it has to be to effectively and efficiently communicate and teach the topic. Now, I'm not dodging the question. I think that's a good answer. But when we deliver with good on-camera delivery, which I'll coach you on, when that's done well, most lessons run about 3 to 8 minutes. So okay, based on the topic, 3 to 8 minutes.
I think it's always interesting to present to people the idea. I mean, most people who get into courses are experts in something already. I mean, they're not just going out and trying to do a course about something. And if you think about it, if somebody told you, hey, I'll just pick somebody's name here, hey, Christina, stand up and, talk about some of the major topics that relate to what you do, and spend 5 to 10 minutes on a range of topics. You could probably do that already, just kind of off the top of your head.
Yes.
I mean, obviously you would be working with them, Robert, to polish that, to present it better on camera and everything, but most people already have that. And it's just a matter of, putting it into a process and really drawing it out. And so the idea of, putting together 10 to 15 videos, 8 minutes a piece for a mini course, most experts could knock that out just off of what they already know, right now.
It's true. Interesting nuance is when I work with clients in CourseCREEK, we have, we talk about the smaller mini entry level course, and then we talk about perhaps a full course. And the full course has all the details and all the deep dive of everything you know and your IP and your method and what you've spent a lifetime developing. And it's interesting just to note that sometimes that's the easier part. But on the mini course, when we ask you to just, let's try something something that relates, something that will work, funnel, but more general, something that'll work from Bubba to Myrtle and everybody in between. What would that be? And it's sort of fun working with clients and helping them figure out, what something simpler would be. Yeah. I've had that same problem myself with the voice technique and the book and everything I wrote for singers. It's pretty heady. So we run into that challenge sometimes when we're so close to our own IP and our own ideas. It's a healthy exercise to step back and try to figure out a way how you could help more people with a more general, basic version of what you already know.
Yeah, you get general, basic, simpler. Sometimes it's sort of the executive summary of what you know too. And if you've ever had to write an executive summary of a big report, it can be hard to do. Like to sort of condense things down, it helps to have some outside perspective in doing that. I think it was Mark Twain, who's famous for saying, "I would have written a shorter letter if I'd had more time," sort of thing. Often that brevity that can be a little bit challenging, but you've got the intellectual property, you've got the content to work with. So then it's just working with it. We've got some various questions coming in here. So somebody's asked, this is an anonymous one, but how about courses without being on camera at all, just voice over slides? I'll tell you my bias on that is I think that's getting harder and harder to pull off. People don't like just voice over slides at this point, having at least a little bit of, because it's the relationship thing, it's the human thing. Even if it isn't necessarily improving the effectiveness of the learning, it will indirectly, just because people can relate to you more, and I think video helps with that. But what's your perspective on just voice over slides, Robert?
Well, I completely agree. I think that having a talking head element, which is what Jeff and I are doing right now, that's you, the creator, or somebody in your company acting as the teacher or the on-camera spokesmodel, is powerful. It builds a relationship with your students, and it just makes it more engaging and entertaining.
Yeah. So
I've run across this a few times in CourseCREEK, and people have asked about that, and I don't recommend it. I really, truly believe, well, I just know from the courses I'm making and the people I'm hanging with every day, if you only do audio voiceover, you're probably not going to get a lot of great reviews and not a lot of sales. There could be some exceptions to that, but I think it's maybe not worth all the effort. If you're going to make a course, try to make it as engaging as possible, and work in some talking head elements as well. And it wouldn't have to be every video. Some courses are very much screen capture. They're teaching you how to use software and a screen capture. But even on those kinds of courses, there's a picture in a picture. There's the talking head is in a little square at the top corner, something like that.
Or even like sometimes, if I'm doing something that's relatively technical and slides or screens are just better for explaining it in detail, then I may focus on just those slides or those screens so that people can really focus in on those. But I'm going to intersperse that with me coming back on, even just briefly, even just for a minute or two, and maybe summarizing a point and introducing the next point, because it just humanizes it, makes it. And so if you're not really comfortable being on camera, maybe just those very brief snippets that you can put throughout your on-screen content to help give it that more human feel. And I'm afraid of butchering people's names because we have names from all over the world here, but I'm going to say Sophia or Sophian has said, "Hey, Robert, can you use the exact same mini course that you'd record for Udemy and put it on Skillshare, or does the content have to be different?" And that's actually a very good question to ask in the context of this webinar.
That's a great question. I'm glad you mentioned it. The entry-level course should be repurposed. So it'll sit, my entry-level course sits on Udemy, and it sits on Skillshare, and it sits on Stack Skills, which is another marketplace. And so when you think about this marketplace platform funneling strategy, we talk a lot about Udemy. They're the big guys. We have to do them. But there's other platforms to put your content on as well. And we should implement it into as many as we can.
And those videos are all going to be the same. I mean, you'll have to implement them in the different platforms, because you got to get the content into Skillshare and configure it. You got to get the content into Udemy and configure it. But it's all the same videos and all the same underlying content.
Right. So let's say that we had Udemy, lynda.com, and Skillshare. That would be 3 phase 3A implementations. Same files and content going in, but every platform has different elements and different things that you can do with it. So you might make a few changes based on the technology that they're giving you to use. But overall, what I do is I use the same sales conversion copy, the same files. It's pretty much the same thing on another platform.
Yeah. And then someone has said, just to confirm, these mini courses are pre-recorded and not taught live, correct? And I know that's correct, that these are pre-recorded. Do any of the marketplace platforms even have like live course capabilities? I'm not even sure if I know that.
Not that I'm aware of right offhand. An ability to break out and go live with a group call. Not that I've seen.
Yeah.
This is all static, evergreen content that just runs 24/7, which is one of the things about doing courses.
Yeah, and that might be one of the very things that you're helping to drive people to, is you have these pre-recorded kind of mini courses on the marketplace type site. You drive them to wherever you're doing it, Kajabi, Teachable, whatever, and bigger courses there, but you also might have courses with live elements there that are, get into a richer, deeper relationship. You're charging a lot more for them. So that might be where you're doing the live stuff.
Sure. That is represented by this box up here, higher in the customer journey. So we've captured them, we pulled them off the marketplace, we captured them, we nurtured them, and then we offer them. See, I have full course upgrade, introduction to your own marketplace, private consulting lessons, speaking engagements, paid group calls, sell your book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever else you have, these other multiple offers that are already in your portfolio of services is part of the discussion we have in phase 1 when we talk about strategy.
Yeah. We have a concept at Learning Revolution called the value ramp, and I put a link to a post about that in the chat here, which is basically this: that you build momentum, you pull people in with your lower cost, even free, somewhat lower value offerings, and you build that momentum that drives them up to those much higher touch offerings where they're getting much more access to you, they're getting much more access to in-depth content, and you're charging more for that. And so the whole platform funneling thing is very much part of the value ramp approach. You're using it as a momentum tool.
Yep.
We've got a number of other ones here. So Yara has asked, does this work if we start on YouTube? And I'm assuming that means that you have YouTube videos you've made, and you might be able to take those videos and put them into more of a course structure. Have you worked with people who've taken things directly from YouTube, Robert, or how does that usually work?
So this is a great question. If we look at my diagram here, this cloud down here says social media. So that represents Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and any content creation that you're doing for those platforms. The content or traffic from these platforms will also be obviously fed into your mid-level funnel. Now, can you use your existing YouTube content and repurpose it for a mini course? Sure, you can if it's instructional and it's somewhat episodic. If you have YouTube content that is lesson 1 through 20 or a series that takes people through a logical progression, then I think it could work. But oftentimes YouTube content, that's not the kind of content we make for YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. It's a little bit more scattered. It's a little bit more how to
structured. Yeah.
It's not deep dive, and you don't want it to be, because you want the deep dive stuff to be over at your paid content, right? I think it could happen if it were set up episodic and it were instructional. It's possible. Yeah.
Okay.
but
Um,
less likely.
right.
I saw a question in here, Jeff, that I wanted to address. I think it's pretty cool. And by the way, folks, I dropped the link for this 3 phases of CourseCREEK that we went through, this page here, if you wanted to take a look at it. There was a question up here about foreign languages. Wow, we have a lot of questions here. Lots of people today.
Yeah. We've addressed many of them, but we have not. Shirley had asked about whether you can create courses in different languages.
That's what I was going to get to.
Yeah.
I have done it, and there's a methodology, a process that I've developed for my singing courses that the CourseCREEK implementation team are aware of, that we can use to help you to get captions, which is words on the screen of the language that's being spoken, and yes, foreign subtitles. Mm-hmm. Putting foreign subtitles on videos is an extraordinarily expensive thing to do. I've looked into it, and unless you're Microsoft or somebody that's got great gobs of money to throw at big shops that to do that, it's the price of doing subtitles in foreign languages is a barrier to entry on that strategy. However, I've figured it out. I figured out a way to do it where in the end you get the subtitles on a budget. So if that's something you're interested in, we can help you to develop the SRT and the VSD files required to upload into the media players that allow the subtitles.
Okay.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you wanted the videos to actually be in different languages, they would have to be recorded in different languages. So you would have to be prepared to provide the ability to present the content in another language as opposed to just subtitles.
Well, if you find somebody that's bilingual, then they can listen to the English, for example, right, and then put in the foreign subtitles.
I'm talking about the actual vocal, the actual voice being in a foreign language. You'd have to have the people who can actually deliver in that foreign language, as opposed to just having the subtitling.
Yes,
there's no magic conversion for that, obviously.
Yep, I understand. We've done that with the Vocalist Studio too. We have the TVS vocal training techniques. My partners, other voice coaches, in Italian, French, German, and soon will be in Hindi. So yes, you can do subtitles, or you can bring in friends and work a deal and have them do it for you. There's a lot of coaching. Those folks that did singing courses in French, Italian, German, and Hindi all went through my phase 1 and my phase 2 and the phase 3. They all went through this process. In fact, that's where I cut my teeth, was helping my fellow voice coach colleagues.
Cool. I want to make sure we got a couple more that I want make sure we get. Christina had asked a while back if you incorporate branding if someone needs it, wants it, and I'm not, maybe we can address both, because I'm not quite sure what you're asking, Christina, whether it means like you've got branding and it just needs to be incorporated into what's produced, and I'm sure the answer to that is yes, absolutely. But the question may be more, if you don't have branding and need to develop it, can you help them develop branding around their course offering, Robert?
I think that CourseCREEK can help you get started on the branding. Now, we're not a deep dive, build your brand and your message company, but we are, as far as is what we need to have for the storyboard and building the courses. And of course, editing certain optical elements into the video and your website. The basic stuff, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then the last question that I see right now, and if folks have others, get them in, and then we're going to talk a little bit about a deal that we have here for you. So Madeline, just to clarify the relationship between this kind of marketplace offering and your, quote, real courses on your website. She asked, do you suggest offering this basic intro alongside your, quote, real courses on your website, or is it only out there on the marketplaces to generate leads? So does it kind of complement your main courses, or is it primarily a lead capture and get people there? And then you might also talk about the revenue generation possibility of them sitting on the marketplace.
Sure. So it's both. So the question is a little confusing to me, I guess. Come again, Jeff? Again, please.
Well, I think it's more, how tightly related. If I may be able to answer this or make an attempt at answering it, because I think it's just like how tightly related is what is on the marketplace to what's on your main website. Are they really complementary? Do you want them to go through the intro course before they ever even get to your website, or can it stand completely independently as just a lead generation thing? And I think either is possible. I think in an ideal world, you do want it to be a stepping stone, a logical path, into what your bigger offering is going to be.
Either is possible. It can stand on its own, but have some sort of relevance. It needs to have some sort of relevance. Or it could be sort of level one or phase one. And when they go to your full course offering, where they get a level 2, level 3. So it can be both. It can be both. And I've worked with both. And whether it becomes a small course that can sort of sit as an island and stand on its own, or it's more intimately tied to the bigger lessons on top, a lot of the determination of that happens in phase 1 and phase 2 in our strategy discussions. We'll determine what would be the best idea for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
A couple of quick last ones here. Cameron's asked, is there a plan to build community into these course models? So Facebook groups, Circle, Mighty Networks would be another one. She doesn't mention that one, but or is the idea here developing hands-off courses? And I guess my instinct is, at least for the mini courses, for the Udemy type stuff, you may not really be doing community there. That may be something that's more when you get people into your sort of the higher up the ramp, into your fuller courses. But what's your perspective on that?
Here's what happens. So Udemy and the marketplaces, they have communities of sorts. They have their own sort of like forums where people can ask questions. Creators like me ask questions with colleagues and stuff, but that's not the kind of community you're talking about. The community for your students, for my students and for yours, that happens in 2 ways. Do you remember back here at this page inside my mini course where there's a link to go out to the external training page that we talked about? Well, I also drop in a link to our Facebook page, our Facebook group. And we currently have 7,400 members and growing. We onboard about 80 new students a week, okay? And the majority of that growth is coming from the mini course. So I should write that down in my benefits. Another thing that you can do here is get a lot of traffic to build community. Now, over here at my Kajabi site, where we have our full course offering, we also have a community. And I don't know if I can find a link to it here. I guess it's not so important. But with our platform on Kajabi, there's a community that Kajabi offers a opportunity to put in a private community so that all students that buy courses on your Kajabi website can plug into a community. And we use that community. It immediately took off as soon as we launched this new website. It sort of looks like a Facebook group, but it's only for people that have purchased the service and the courses. And we use it for sharing feedback, building relationships, but also for assessments. So inside the instructional design of the singing courses on this platform here, we've broken our storyboard up into 5 stages, and at the end of each of the stages, there's a series of assessments. We're serious about our vocal training, and part of the assessments is they go to the private community and get peer feedback. So the shorter answer is heck yes. This will build your Facebook group really fast, and if you choose the right platform, we can build a private community for you as well.
Cool. We've got a couple more questions, and I invite folks to get other questions in. Before we turn to those, though, I do want to briefly talk about the offer that we have for folks who are interested in being able to work with CourseCREEK on doing this. I'm going to share my screen here quickly and talk about what we've got here. So we have put together a platform funneling success package that you'll see up here on the screen. And the deal here is, Robert talked about those phases. This is a package to take you through those phases. So to do the consulting, develop that executable plan, your strategy that Robert talked about, that's so fundamental, so foundational here. That would be part of this. As a bonus, I would be involved in this. I'm not usually involved in this, and I don't usually do any sort of hands-on consulting. So this is really the only way that I do it. We will do a go-to-market review and coaching to really, fine-tune your strategy and get you out there into the market with full force. Then there's going to be the coaching to refine your course idea, to create your storyboard, to polish that on-camera presence that Robert was talking about. And then finally, we'll implement into Udemy as part of this. We've been talking about Udemy as a part of this session.
Yep.
And as a bonus, you'll get implemented into Skillshare. So you get into 2 marketplace sites as a part of this deal. Any details you want to add to this, Robert?
No, well, no, that's it. So phase 1 consulting, phase 2 coaching, storyboard building, on-camera coaching, and then a phase 3A implementation into Udemy. And we don't typically do this, but as a bonus, we'll implement it into Skillshare as well. We're looking for people to go to Jeff, you got a landing page or a form within the first 48
Yeah, so to get this, if you're interested in this, and this will be, we're offering 25% off what this usually is, so you'll save $2,000 by doing this. If within 48 hours, you'll go to the link here, and I'll get this into the chat as well. But just put in your information about what you're doing, what you need to do for your project, and mention that you were on the webinar here. And enter into an agreement with CourseCREEK within a week from that, and you'll get the $2,000 savings on this. So if you are really interested in getting out of the gates full steam ahead in 2021 with this mini course funneling idea, whether you're just getting started with courses or whether you're looking to really charge up what you're already doing with courses, this is just really a fantastic way to do it. So, and I'm going to.
And we should just tell them how much the package is. It's $6,000 for phase 1.
$6,000. That's normally $8,000. So you're getting $2,000 off of that. And I'm going to get this link into the chat here, and then we can go back. And I know we've got a couple of more questions at least to take a look at before we wrap up here. So CourseCREEK/learning-revolution, use that to get to this form, and you can take advantage of this offer to get you started with the whole platform funneling concept. So I'm going to stop sharing now, and we can jump back over. And we got a couple of questions here, and then if anybody else has got additional questions, get them in as we're wrapping up. Gernot has said, Robert, since you use Kajabi and mentioned their email systems, do you rely fully on Kajabi for marketing and sales, or are there any third-party components you're using, like a CRM or anything?
We're using Kajabi for everything in the middle of the funnel and the bottom of the funnel. So it's nurturing all the traffic. Traffic hits the main website, the full course website offer. It's all Kajabi. And third-party. The one third-party element that I'm not getting from Kajabi that I absolutely love, and if you work with me, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about it, is that chat system. That 24/7 chat system. Oh my gosh, that saves so many headaches and so many and a lot of admin time that you waste responding to people, sending you emails, reselling courses, and it's just fantastic. And later on in 2021, my team and I are going to build a bot system. We're going to call it Bot Coach, and have the bot take people through a series of questions and make recommendations on certain courses and things. So, so I want to summarize by saying I've been on a lot of different platforms. I've been through it hell and back in this business, as Jeff was saying before. And just a couple weeks ago, I landed on Kajabi. My team migrated from an old platform onto Kajabi, and I shout out for Kajabi. My goodness, every day I'm inside that thing going, wow, that was easy. Wow, that was great. Wow, that's exactly what I needed. The upselling, the cross-selling, the email system inside, it's just fantastic. So most of what I need is being done by engines inside the Kajabi platform. The one thing that I'm really excited about that is outsourced is a third party, is that chat system.
Cool. I wouldn't be surprised to see Kajabi eventually get something like that, because they invest a lot and continue to expand the product. Couple of others here. Nick has asked, do you advise on outright course purchase versus subscription basis? So, do you just buy the course and have it, or do you subscribe for access over time for courses? I mean, that's really going to depend on your strategy and what your content is and what makes sense. But what's your perspective on that, Robert?
Mm-hmm. At what level of this funnel are you referring to? I will tell you that down here at the marketplace, Udemy is a buy once with their consumer group, and then with Udemy for Business, it's more of a subscription or a model whereby customers purchase a monthly subscription to get access to a suite of courses, and then you get paid on the amount of time, the streaming time usage on your course. It's another payment model that the marketplaces sometimes do, and Skillshare does it that way. So if with your solution, folks, when we implement Udemy, that'll be a one-time payment, okay? And on Skillshare, you're paid on runtime. Now, out at my website at Kajabi, you can do one-time payment, or you can do subscriptions. Currently, we're doing one-time payment, but going into the new year, we're going to build a membership model where people will be offering a monthly subscription to get access to the marketplace, the full portfolio of all those singing courses. So those of you that have a lot of content, building out at the higher level, building on a marketplace, your own mini marketplace is something that we can also do for you if you're interested in that.
Cool. And just a couple of last ones, and then we'll sign off here. Madeline has asked if outside of this offer, do you offer consulting on a one phase at a time basis? And I said yes to that and said the same link applies. So I put that link in again, just the CourseCREEK.com/learning-revolution. You can use that. And then Yarabu has asked, how do we price the mini course? Any tricks to help us price it? And it's probably in relation to your bigger courses, or just how, and of course, there's a question of how much control you have over that as well.
It's all about the control. When you upload your mini course to Udemy, in that setup phase, they ask you some key questions early on in the game, and it's essentially they ask you, well, do you want to control your own pricing and set your own price? You have that option if you want to. Or do you want us to determine the price of your course based on our algorithms for each different demographic in each different country, in each different currency during a particular time of day and all that? And believe me, the answer is no, you guys do it, because their algorithms know. And so they do. They go off and it's one of the things that's a little wonky in the beginning when you get to Udemy. Jeff was sort of hitting at it earlier, is when you first look at it, it's like, whoa, that's a really low price for my course. Feels too low. Something's odd about that. And I made that mistake, by the way. When I first saw Udemy in 2014, I walked away from it because I didn't like what they were going to do to my pricing. That was a huge mistake. I lost about $400,000 because 3 years later, when I finally decided to do it, it took off. It's stack it deep, sell it cheap. So you let the platform sell your mini course as they feel is best to do it. After all, they are your partner. They're going to take a cut, so they're motivated to get the most out of that.
They're incentivized to sell. Yeah.
Absolutely. So let them do that. We want them to do that.
Cool. Well, I think that brings us to the end of questions. So many thanks to everybody who showed up here. We will send out a recording and a link. Somebody asked about slides earlier. We really haven't used any slides other than just to talk about the package there. But Robert has used a number of different web pages. We'll try to include links to anything we can as far as that goes. And certainly, when you get the follow-up email, feel free to reply. And any questions you got, we'll get them answered. Definitely encourage you to check out that deal if you're looking to really get out of the gate strong in 2021. And otherwise, hey, thanks to everybody for being here.
Thank you for coming. It was an honor to speak to you all and share these ideas.